דודי לי ואני לא הרואה משהו שאני דודי לי ואני לא הרואה משהו שאני מי זאת עולה מן המדבר מי זאת עולה מי זאת עולה מן המדבר מי זאת עולה דודי לי ואני לא הרואה משהו שאני דודי לי ואני לא הרואה משהו שאני מי בבדיני אחותי קלה מי בבדיני קלה ריבבתיני אחותי קלה ריבבתיני קלה דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים אורי צפון ובואי תימן אורי צפון ובואי תימן דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We offer thanks to God for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, and it is my pleasure to invite up Honorine and Tammy to sanctify the sacred time with blessings of candles and Kiddush on pages 120 and then 123.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Amen.
Don't touch it, it's okay.
It's okay, I'm used to heat.
On page 122 and 23.
There was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work being done, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work being done. God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation being done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahavahu b'ratzon hinchilanu
זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen.
We're going to ask you to stay up here for a second. Proverbs teaches us, a woman of valor, seek her out. She is to be valued above rubies. She opens her hand to those in need and extends her help to the poor. Adorned with strength and dignity, she faces the future cheerfully. Her speech is wise, the law of kindness is on her lips. Those who love her rise up with praise and call her blessed. Many have done well, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty short-lived, but a woman loyal has truly earned praise. Honor her for all her offerings. Her life proclaims her praise. In addition to sanctifying this time of Shabbat to us, we're also celebrating Ani's 89th birthday this evening, in addition to our study Oneg. Ani, you have given so much wisdom, care, and grace to this congregation, providing so much effort in your cooking and hosting and being attentive to those who are sick, and always calling and checking in to see who needs to be checked on and who needs to be gifted such comforting presence. We wish you a happy birthday and can't wait to celebrate with you later this Shabbat. And may this Shabbat be extra exuberance, perhaps a third soul in addition to the second soul that we are granted for this extra celebration as we welcome this time of sanctifying life together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'ehyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu b'azman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sustained us and brought us to this sacred moment, and to you, Ani, who has brought us to this sacred moment, giving us such wonderful reasons to celebrate. Shabbat Shalom. This is also the point in which I'm allowed to shamelessly plug the Oneg for additional singing and celebration for Ani. So we hope that you'll stick around to join us afterwards. Our exuberance of Shabbat continues on pages 138 and 39 as we sing Lecha Dodi together. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 9, rising on the 9th.
Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad hismiyanu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad v'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'li tihila. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekol habrecha merosh mikerem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'mashat Shabbat Tehila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kalai Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat Mekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kalai Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat Mekabela Bohi Veshalom Ateret Bala Gam Besimcha Ubetzula Toch Emunim Am Segula Bohi Chala Bohi Lecha Dodi Likrat Kalai Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat Mekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kalai Yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat Mekabela.
As we've risen to greet Shabbat presents, so too do we rise to extend Shabbat presents to each other with words of Shabbat Shalom to old friends and new ones.
Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvaracha. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvaracha. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la la. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvaracha.
Now, services are often a learning moment. And what we've learned since coming back from COVID is if we're going to give time for y'all to say Shabbat Shalom, we also need to give y'all time to come back to your seats. But I have to say something, that this congregation is not very good at doing that. And amongst all the many problems of the world, let this be the best one, and let this problem continue. Chatzi Kaddish brings us into rhythmic repetition of words of praise to help us achieve a higher meditational state. As we welcome Shabbat and welcomed each other, we're ready to ascend together. On page 144. Yitkadav v'yikadash shemei Rabbah B'almati brakerte v'amlik malchute B'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman karim v'meru Yesh me Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lam me'amaya Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'ipa'ar v'traman v'naseh v'tadar v'taleh v'talah shemei d'kudusha Brichu le'lam mikol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata menechemata Da'ami Rabbe Amma B'Merum. On page 146, we rise with words of the Baruch Hu. You can also follow along in this week's version on your song sheets with the words of Am I Awake?
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
On page 148 in the English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Arabim. Responsively on page 151, the second prayer. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Than this holiest of your works, in the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Our affirmation in Shema Yisrael on pages 152 and 53.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Vayed.
You may be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech Ushofbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, behayu letotafot beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, vitem kadoshim leloechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeh et yedechem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Our song of redemption in Mi Chamocha is on page 158.
Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha edar b'kodesh, nura tehilot, oseh ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? When Moses and the children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nura tehilot, oseh pele. So you all know the great thing about this song is that can be done in rounds. So whichever part you feel like you know or like the best, whether it's Mi Chamocha, whether it's Nora, I want you to sing it, own it, sing it as loud as you can, and Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, oseh pele. Again, Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Acapella. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Great job.
There's this technique that's often used in movies when inspiring some kind of ultimate powerful or often divine voice. You'll hear in the background if someone is speaking with some kind of divine inspiration that there's multiple voices often overlaid to make it sound much more powerful and much more overwhelming, because even though the dialogue seems clear with the words that we're hearing, there's overwhelming stimulation from the blending and crashing of different voices that are coming together. So thank you, Ben, for reminding me of that, and also providing a perfect segue into one of our teachings this evening. It's one of my favorite teachings. A Hasidic teaching maintains that one should always walk with a note in each pocket. One will say, "For my sake, the world was created." The other should read, "I am but dust and ashes." These teachings could then be invoked at appropriate times. When feeling downtrodden, one would reach into their pocket and read, "For my sake the world was created." There would be a rush of inspiration as the formation of the cosmos comes into the imagination. For us, the beauty of nature would provide an uplifting reminder that something more is out there for exploration as a source for finding purpose and meaning. Likewise, when filled with pride and vitality, one reaches for the teaching, "I am but dust and ashes." And we can be reminded how small we are, how much more aware we should have of others, and not to be so inflated with self-importance, to keep humility. We have sometimes two contradictory teachings that pull us in different directions, yet we're encouraged to carry both. Just as we feel the internal tension between good and bad times, life and death, light and dark, what seems contradictory is that our humanity makes natural and necessary. When we're pulled across the spectrum of life's experiences, having these two teachings as polar opposites remind us how we learn to act on one at the appropriate time. And we experience this intensely in our worship service, with our prayers reaching for a great emotional range. In the past couple minutes, we've celebrated life and rest with Shabbat. We're yearning for safety and clarity in the prayers to come with Hashkivenu, and we'll express the desire to be attentive to those in need of a better fortune. We'll rejoice that we have a light to bring to the world, and we'll mourn for what is lost, before one more uplifting note to get us from worship to social gathering. In our regular business, we reach for the message that applies to the current situation. But in prayer, we go for both at the same time, to hold the complexity in our hands, and rather than feel overwhelmed by the many ways in which life pulls us, we grip them together as present beings to express gratitude for the beauty of life that stems from living this tension in between the teachings and surviving one day at a time. Hashkivenu can be found on your song sheets this evening.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Lehamidenu Shomrenu Lechayim. In the darkness of the night, when I'm scared to close my eyes, won't you ease my troubled mind? Hashkivenu. May you guide us on our way, walk beside us, keep us safe. Hear these humble words we pray. Hashkivenu, Ufroz Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, in the shadow of your wings. Ufroz Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, in the promised morning breeze. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Lehamidenu Shomrenu Lechayim. Baruch atah Adonai Hapurei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim.
Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haparei sukkot shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. We pray together at the top of page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. On page 164, we rise for Tefillat HaAmidah. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Kasei Avot Imot, U'mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol Atah Radoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morin HaGashem, Mechakel Kayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Be'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Mikamo Kabal Kirubrot, Umito Melach, Melech Mimi, Tumekayem, Umatzniat Yeshua, V'nemanata Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'Kol Yom Yaluka Stella, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. The first paragraph in the English on page 172. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you bless it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God. Grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Whether through the words of the Siddur or the words of your own heart, this time is for you.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim, Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Leolam, Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom, Ki Ata Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Leolam.
Mishaberak Avotenu v'Imotenu, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill, as we turn our thoughts to Murray Alperin, Myra Alperin, Bracha Bat Leah Menashe, Lauren Rosenbaum Brown, Norm Coleman, Becky Craig, David Doctor, Jan Doctor, Seth Bibleman, Zoe Gressel, Philip Gordon, Eric Heron, Jerry Jacobs, Harry Kolodny, Addie Lehman, Jerry Prince, Damian and Yolanda Henderson Riggs, Juliana Ruvinsky Rojas, Steve Rosman, Joyce Salomon, Michael Sawyer, Betty Shornick, Gilbert Salick, Carol Joy Sparkman, Elisa Ruvinsky Stein, Catherine Wiener, and our dear ones in Israel, Gabriela Ruvinsky Ott and her family, Sippy and Rafi Ben Talila, Galia Bonet and her children, Miriam Britt and her family, Jacob Karkas and his family, Sarah Cohen Karkas and her family, Ron and Shlamit Granot, Alan, Jonathan, and Noam Gressel, Macy and Tamara Granot, Rabbi Stuart Clammer and his family, Surit Ozeri and Renat McDonald, the Parker family, Francine Sherwood, Yara and Evan Wertheim, Alex Weitzman and her family, as well as with those whom are in your thoughts this evening. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body, spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn to the page 371 for Misha Berach.
You can find the words actually for Misha Berach on the back of your leaflet. Misha Berach Avotenu, Misha Berach Imotenu. You are the source of blessing. Hear our words of prayer. Heal us in our body and heal us in our spirit. Yours is the power. We put our trust in you. Bless us as you blessed our fathers. Bless us as you blessed our mothers. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofecho le'amo Yisrael.
It is a unique quality of the lunar calendar that makes up the Jewish time, that instead of having an extra day for the leap year, we have a whole extra month. We are currently in the first Adar, second Adar comes next. And because Adar is the month of Purim, that actually means that there are technically 2 Purims. So what is usually on the 14th and 15th of Adar, normal or first Adar as regular Purim, in the leap year when our main Purim celebration happens in second Adar, we have Purim Katan, or Little Purim, for this Shabbat. And it does happen to be the 14th of Adar this evening. Now, for Purim, it is tradition often to shake things up a little bit in service, to bring a little bit of extra excitement and joy and laughter, and there have been many suggestions made to me about how we can continue to do this for the future. There was even a suggestion of, Rabbi, have you ever tried to give the sermon without any text and completely offhand? Well, let me tell you that this evening you can celebrate that I will not and probably never attempt that within the sanctuary. But to flip things on their head a little bit, rather than a message coming just from me, I prefer if it came from you. We've been talking this evening a little bit about how this service reaches for the full emotional range of experiences that we have in life. If we're talking about our emotions, we can narrow them down to 5 major categories. We have joy, just like we had in our Nitamocha prayer, where the Israelites are exuberant for crossing the Sea of Reeds, having been freed from Egypt. We sadness at the beginning of the Exodus narrative, where the Israelites' lives are made bitter by harsh oppression. We have fear in the story of the Ten Commandments. The Egyptians are certainly fearful of God's power, and the Israelites are supposed to be inspired to be brought to reverence, to revere God, which I like to say is fear plus awe. We have anger. Next week we read from the story of the golden calf, and which is one of many God's frequent attempts to potentially destroy the Israelites for not listening. And we have disgust, when God seeks to draw Israel into their destiny by saying that you should find other things that aren't part of Israelite life abhorrent. And we take each and every one of these instances into the context of our daily lives, trying to find good practical application, and also finding times to emotionally resonate with each of those teachings in each of those states of mind. So, here is your challenge for this evening. Please turn to page 152 and 153, where you'll find the Shema. We often refer to the Shema as our affirmation, and when reaching for the whole complexity of emotional range, I'd like to argue that Shema has all 5 categories within this prayer: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, which may or may not directly relate to a Pixar film that taught these emotions through inside out. But those are still the 5 categories nonetheless. So, we're going to go through each of them, and let's see if we can identify each of the 5 emotions all sitting within one line of text. Let's start with joy. And if you have an answer, I invite you to share, and I'll repeat on the microphone for those of us who need to hear it online. There are no wrong answers or judgments. So, Shema, how does it relate joy?
Majesty forever.
Sorry?
Majesty forever.
Majesty forever. The joy in God's eternal presence. We have the reminder of that in the Ner Tamid that sits above the ark, that reminds us that there's always something greater than ourselves, and there's always some comforting presence to find in this world. Any other interpretations? I thought I heard multiple voices. Yep.
We recognize one God, that's all, one God, that's happiness.
Happiness in the destiny for which we've set forth for ourselves and the beliefs that come along with that. I like that. Okay, let's move on to sadness. When I tested this one proved to be a little bit harder as well.
The fact that the whole statement has to be said in the first place, that God is one. The fact that the rest of the world would not necessarily believe that. Sadness at the fact that we even have to make that declaration for other people to see or hear.
The sadness that is a reminder of our mortality and our imperfect nature, that we have to have these consistent reminders in our daily life. There's a great Musar teaching by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. Some of you who participated in the Torah study may have heard me reference this one a couple of weeks ago when he says the most important teachings are the most obvious teachings, which are also the ones we most easily forget, and why they have to be repeated so often. So there's recognition of our imperfection there, and there might be a little bit of sadness as well. Another good one is the context in which the prayer is given. In Deuteronomy, that this is one of Moses' final speeches before look at the punctuation in the English. George.
Having to be told, Adonai, our God, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Somebody was had to feel like they had to impress upon somebody that God is one. So whoever was impressing was angry.
Yeah. The Shema is, the word Shema is given in the imperative. And you see it often given in translations with an exclamation point. That sometimes if we're talking about, coming from Ben's comment, that we have to be reminded over and over and over again, the teacher might get a little bit tiresome with that message. Jared, did you have something?
It kind of remind me of the time God told Moses to speak to the rock and spread their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And say, listen, like that here tomorrow.
Yeah. So in Deuteronomy, with Moses knowing that he's going to conclude his time with his community, referring back to the episode that caused the punishment that he wasn't going to go into the promised land, about how there was anger when he did not listen to God, and how to get water from the rock. And in this case, maybe some of that is reflected back towards the Israelites, hoping that they're going to listen, and maybe a little bit of anger will press upon them in that way. How about fear?
You could, I guess, if you're going with the fear, awe, you could say God's glorious majesty forever, reminding us that He reigns over us and orchestrates everything below that.
So going with the idea of fear as reverence is having a little bit of that inspiration from just the awe that is God's glory. Yeah.
Fear of the unknown, going into a new land.
If we're taking the context of Deuteronomy, going into the new land, a place they've never lived before, that they've been detached for approximately 440 years at this point, and what is that going to mean for them?
Kavod Malkuto implies caution at the very least because of its very nature. Glorious majesty is somewhat fear-inspiring, especially given the way it's written.
Yeah, so Benjamin, for those of you who couldn't hear, was talking about Kavod Malkuto, God's glorious majesty, the intimidation that such great power causes. What about disgust? Where might Shema imply a sense of disgust? Hear, O Israel. God's disgusted at the Israelites that they need to be reminded over and over and over again. Going back to that anger, maybe about the recognizing our interpretation that sometimes said. So I just mentioned before the golden calf story where God threatens to destroy the Israelites. So maybe some of that is coming from God as well, that they don't listen. Also in the word echad, where God is one, God is our God, there's also the invitation of this is the path that we are supposed to follow, and we're supposed to find things that deviate from our destiny as abhorrent to us. So maybe there's also disgust in that as well. In addition to flipping a little bit of teaching and wanting to hear from y'all instead of from the majority, me, there's a powerful act in this teaching of hearing everyone's voices when it comes to finding the meaning of our tradition. In this week's four portions, it's not bad. If you read the pre-Shabbat class in affirmation, you may have seen a quote from the Vilna Gaon that this is one of the few Torah portions where Moses is alive that it doesn't mention Moses by name. In addition to anticipating Moses' mourning, this is also an incredible, empowering Torah portion for the people, because without mentioning Moses by name and having all this text in the building of the tabernacle where it says, this is what you should do for the priests, this is what you should do for Aaron and his sons as they're being ordained, it is almost as if every single Israelite, without Moses being present, is being pulled into this process to have knowledge in building the tabernacle together. We spoke last week about how incredible complex the directions are to put everything together, and how even some of the really nicer materials could have been fragile or have to be handled with great care, and the teamwork that is involved. And if you've ever tried to build into something from IKEA with another person, you may know of some of that complexity. Nonetheless, Torah is empowering in this moment actually by leaving Moses out, bringing each of us into his place as to be empowered to the strength of that leader. And so just as we read into the different emotional experiences that we can gain from a single prayer, so too are we invited to find our place to feel empowered within the words of our tradition. Shabbat Shalom.
Into your hands I entrust my spirit, when I sleep and when I wake, and with my spirit, my body also. Adonai is with me, and I shall not fear. Be'ado apkiduchi, be'tishan be'ahira, be'himruchi gebiati, Adonai li velo hira, be'himruchi gebiati, Adonai li velo hira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Be'ado avkinuchi, be'tishan be'ahira, be'himruchi gebiati, Adonai li velo hira. Be'himruchi gebiati, Adonai li velo hira.
We now rise at the bottom of page 586 as we collect the spiritual energy we gathered in the space, looking forward to bringing it out into the world with the words of our adoration in Aleinu L'Shabbeach.
Aleinu L'Shabbeach L'Adon L'Akol, L'Ateit Gedula L'Yotzeh Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoyei Aratzot, Velo Samanu Kemishbechot Adama, Shelo Sam Chelkinu Kahem, Vegoralenu Kechol Hamonam, Va'anavnu Kolim, Umishtachavinu Motim, Livnei Melech Malchei ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. Join me on page 595 with the seventh prayer. Yesh kochavim she'oram magia arza, rak kasher hem atzmam avdu ve'enam. Yesh anashim shaziv zifram me'ir, ka'asher hem atzmam enam, od bitochenu. Orot ele hamavhikim, vecheshkat halayel, hem shemarim la'adam et haderech. Please join me. There are stars up above. So far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. As we turn to page 598 for Gedisha Tome, our mourner's Kaddish, our thoughts are with the Snyder family as they mourn the loss of Susan's brother, Clifford Fish, and Susan's mother, Barbara Fish, as well as with those who are observing yardsites for Lester Bear, Irene Adele Cessna, Isidore Dreyfus, Philip Eisenstadt, Eddie Garces, Reba Gavant, Evelyn Goodman, Norma Lee Greenberg, Denise Elfasi Hamu, Lars Helenius, Mary Margolis, Ida Newhouse, Jeanette Oppenheim, Julius Prebach, Caroline Lil Kander Rosenberg, Max Sobolski, Marvin Mark Zivitz, as well as with those whom you are remembering this evening.
Legendary orchestra conductor Seiji Ozawa.
If it is your tradition to do so, I invite you to rise. Yit kadal vid kadash shemei rabba, belma divra kurate vyamlich malchute, bechayechon uvyomechon, uvchayedachol beit Yisrael, bagalav vizman karib v'imru. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam Lalmei Almaya. Yit Barach V'Ishtabach V'Pa'ar V'Tramam V'Naseh. V'Tadar V'T'ale V'Talal Shemei Kudisha Brichu. Leila Minkol Birchata V'Shirata. Tushbechata V'Nechemata. Da'amiram Ba'alma V'Imru. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imrum. Oseh Shalom B'imramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel and the world, and comfort to you who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. O say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen. Before we turn to Ein Kelohenu on page 626, first some announcements. I'd like to thank Ani and Tammy for sanctifying Shabbat with us with candles and Kiddush. Ani, once again, happy 89th birthday, and we look forward to celebrating with you during the Oneg. Also during the Oneg, special thanks to Charna and company for working the magic for the pasta dinner and salad that will accompany our study Oneg on portrayals of Judaism in film. And that will happen right after Ein Keloheinu. Tomorrow we'll have regular Saturday morning services at 9 a.m. on YouTube. That'll be followed by 10:45 Torah study on Zoom and in the Kibbutz and Nosh room. Sunday we have religious school at its regular time. Actually, it's at a bit of an irregular time of 9:15 for some breakfast, and then confirmation at 6 p.m. Judaism 101 resumes on Tuesday at 6:30. Our adult Hebrew class continues still Wednesday at 4:30. And you can mark your calendars for March 23rd and 24th, our Purim weekend. Details coming this week. And I want to apologize to Sheila that unfortunately while it is a wonderful holiday, it's not my personal favorite. Nothing wrong with Purim, it's just Passover is better. But that's just for me. We will be continuing still our sing-along Purim spiel, which we did last year, as the sing-along Purim spiel is being written. If there are any songs that you would like to see parodied, I am happy to take any requests as long as they are not past the year of 2018. Oh, younger than 2018. Sorry. I'm looking for oldies, and so oldies for the kids is anything older than 5 years. So, all right. That was a really bad joke, but we're gonna move on. Special thanks again to Ben and Tim for bringing such beautiful music, for uplifting the prayers off the page to be inscribed in our hearts and soul. Marla, thank you for joining us on the Bima, and Julia, thank you for greeting. We'll sing Ein Keloheinu together on page 626.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Please join us for Motzi in the social hall.